Hey folks, sorry I've been gone for a bit. Uh, had to do my accounting for the business for the month and a little more than I'm used to. But I'm back. All right, what I want to talk about today is organic versus synthetic. I know you guys are probably here because you want to use a living soil. Living soil is organic, it is not synthetic. So I want to talk about the differences, why I use what I use, and then why they don't mix. So let's jump into it. Organic growing. It's natural, right? We're using organic things to put inside of our soils, and we're going to feed the soil the microbiology in there, and that's how we're going to cycle nutrients, and that's how the plants are going to get those nutrients. In a synthetic system, that system works a little bit differently, okay? In a synthetic system, you're adding in soluble nutrients, which basically have already been cycled, they're readily available for the plant, and you're going to put that into the soil, and the plant is going to take that up immediately based upon what it actually needs. So that means you're feeding the plant exactly what it needs. Now, the difference between these two systems is in an organic system, it continues to feed the system every day. If it rains, it shines, it snows, whatever. The microbes are continually cycling nutrients for the plants, and then those nutrients are going to be available for those plants. In a synthetic system, that is not the same. In a synthetic system, when you feed the plant, that's when the food is available for the plant. That's when the nutrients are available for the plant. If the plant doesn't need those nutrients at that moment and doesn't uptake them, they're gone. They're not going to have another chance to be able to get to those nutrients until you provide those nutrients to them again. So, when this really comes in, or is really important, is when we're adding synthetic nutrients to the soil and then it rains, or we're irrigating. When we're irrigating and we're putting water into the soil system, that water pushes all those nutrients in down into the soil and washes them away. So if the plant doesn't use them, they're gone. So we have to remember that if we're using synthetic fertilizers. So this is the difference between the two systems. And this is why when we're using fertilizers, there's a strict regimen that we have to follow to make sure that the plant is getting what it wants, what it needs, when it needs it, on a continuous timeline. So that's a synthetic system. Why do I use an organic system? And why do I use a living soil? One, because I'm lazy and I'm going to let Mother Nature do everything that she needs to do for it. And two, um, because I think it's a natural progression of things, right? Um, when we don't eat right as humans, we are unhealthy. When we eat the same things at the same time over and over again, our body kind of gets used to that, and then we become malnourished because we're not getting a wide variety of different things. And the same thing happens to your plants and other living things, right? If they don't get a variety of things and things aren't readily available to them, then they're not going to be as healthy as possible. And this is why I like a living soil. Because when we bring diversity into the soil system, whether that's with organic material, microbiology, right, or different plants, when we bring those things into the soil, we're releasing and making a bunch of different nutrients for the plants and the microbes. And the soil system just works on its own the way it's supposed to do naturally. So when we add this diversity into the soil, the plants and the microbiology and the entire ecosystem is healthier than in a synthetic system where we're feeding a specific type of nutrient, a specific type of food on a regular basis. They're still going to be able to produce and grow, but they're not going to be on the same level as an organic thing because on an organic growing system, because the organic system is feeding so many different things. When we look at our fertilizers that we're feeding in a synthetic system, it's usually NPK, maybe a few other nutrients in there, right? But when we're looking at a living soil in an organic system, there's so many things that are being made by all of those microorganisms. They all release a different type of nutrient. Some of them release nitrogen, potassium, molybdenum, manganese, iron, zinc, you know, calcium, you name it. They have the ability to be able to create all of this in the soil, and then the plant has access to that. It's kind of like us if we go to the store or we go to the pharmacy. If we go to the pharmacy and we decide that we're going to take vitamin B12, C, and vitamin E. And we're like, all right, we're good. We're going to take this for the rest of our lives. I mean, we'll probably be okay. You know what I mean? It's better than nothing. But why not take a multivitamin that has, what is it, one a day from A to Z? Why not take something that has everything in it? Now you're covering all your bases, making sure that you have everything that you could ever need in order to be as healthy as possible. Same thing goes for a soil system, right? We can feed a synthetic system where we're feeding certain specific nutrients, but why wouldn't we let a living soil turn things into, our A to Z, our one a day? They're going to make all of those nutrients for our plants. They're going to be there, and then when a plant needs it, they're going to have access to it. And it's going to be this entire system that just keeps going on and on and on. So this is the difference between a synthetic system and an organic system. And I know I said we're going to talk about why they don't work. So here's the thing. In a synthetic system, most of the chemicals out there, I'm not going to say all of them, but when you look at them, they have something in there that is a sulfate. A sulfate at the chemical level is a salt. When we're adding salt into the soil system, it usually dehydrates things and sucks moisture out of things, and that kills our microorganisms. We can see that underneath the microscope. I think there's a video in the classroom that actually shows when we put a saline solution underneath a microscope, it kills all the living organisms in it. So when we're using a synthetic system and we're trying to use it in combination with an organic system, it's not going to work. The synthetic system is going to kill the organic system if it has those salts in it. So I say pick one and go with that one. If you're here, it's probably because you're using a living soil and you want to stay organic, then go that route. But if you're also using synthetics, then I would say you need to pick one. Pick one or the other. You're wasting your money if you're trying to do both at the same time. Can you do it? Yes, of course. But you're going to end up being better if you choose one or the other and just stick with it. So, again, I use a living soil. This is what I like. I like the organic way to go about it. Can you do the synthetic system? You absolutely can. Just don't mix the two, okay? When we're building a living soil, it takes time to get all those microorganisms and that organic material and that system up and running. And as soon as we put a synthetic chemical or nutrient into that soil system, it kills all of that biology and it sets us back again. We don't want to do that in a living soil, in an organic system. So if you're using both, I would say pick one and then stick with that one, but don't mix the two. All right, guys, if you got any questions, you know how to reach me. Drop a comment in below. Drop a comment down below. Shoot me a direct message. I'm happy to answer any questions. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.